You want to know the most underrated startup move of the last decade? Build in stealth for 10 years before selling a single license. Sounds insane, right? Most founders ship at 6 weeks and pivot in 6 months. This founder waited a decade. No customers, no revenue, just 5 co-founders, a whiteboard, and a wild thesis that everyone else in automation was solving the wrong problem. Then he made an even crazier bet. He decided his first customers would only be Fortune 500 enterprises, the hardest, slowest, most cynical buyers on the planet, with zero brand, zero revenue, zero patience for vaporware. In the first big pitch, a Fortune 100 telecom listened for 2 hours and politely showed him the door. Then he went straight to the pub at 2:30 on a Tuesday, and I don't blame him at all. I would have joined him, but he was certain they'd come back and he'd win them. A year and a half later, the same customer signed a $2.5 million deal. Today, 85% of his customers are Fortune 500. Net revenue retention is above 120%, $73 million raised. So what's the lesson? He stopped selling technology and started selling outcomes. He told customers, don't pay for us if we don't deliver. That one sentence shifted every conversation from a transaction to a partnership. So here's your deep question. What's the one problem you'd be willing to solve forever, even if no one clapped for the first 10 years? Welcome to AI for Founders. I'm Ryan Estes. This show is for operators, builders, and bootstrappers who want to use AI to compound their edge before everyone else catches on. You'll hear from a founder who's raised millions, scaled to Fortune 500 logos, and turned conviction into category leadership. And speaking of edges, our newsletter is absolutely cooking. It's where we serve up the sharpest AI plays for founders every single week. Pour yourself a coffee, head to aiforfounders.co, and get on the list. And if this episode hits you somewhere useful, leave a one-sentence review on your podcast app because every star is a tiny vote for more founders getting smarter, faster. Let's dive into the episode. Sameet, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Ryan. Super excited to be here.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to talk all about you and your company, EvoluteIQ.com. Did I pronounce that correctly?
That's right. EvoluteIQ it is.
I love it. Before we get into that, though, I saw something when I was doing some research on you that kind of stood out. Former junior rifle shooting record holder.
My God.
So you can shoot. You're a shooter.
I like targets. I like to hit the targets. Let's look at that very early on. This was way back. I mean, I think this was back in high school. So I'm talking 89, 90, around that time. But for a couple of years, I did hold that record. Very happy to do that.
Yeah, man. Well, that goes a long ways where I'm from. I'm a Coloradan, and if you looked up Colorado guy in the dictionary, you'd see a picture of me with a pickup truck and a flannel shirt with my cowboy boots. Like, I am a Colorado guy, so I'm a born sportsman. Hunting and fishing is a big part of my life and my family's life. So are you a hunter?
No. This was just for recreation and sports. I mean, it was part of the school curriculum and part of it. So got to represent my school, my state, and eventually do it at a national level. So
wow, incredible. You still shooting?
I actually tried archery because rifle shooting is not as easy in the UK as it is probably in the US.
Yeah.
But then, not much of it lately. I mean, I think the last time I was out there was a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Cool. It's interesting. I mean, when you get proficient at anything, it becomes almost like a lens that you see the world, It's like whether it's music or it's martial arts or it's like target shooting, there's something about, shooting at targets where that is kind of analogous to business and everything else, which is to say, if you're shooting a bow, especially, you're not aiming for the target. You're not aiming for the paper. You're aiming for the middle of the bullseye, So it's like that kind of like focus is critically important, and that kind of extends everywhere. A lot of times, like having focus and knowing exactly what the target is translates to success in other domains.
Yeah, actually, there's much more than that, right? There are the other elements around, including, if you're out in the open and doing it, then it's the wind. It's it's the wind. It's the different elements and factors out there. But more importantly, I think one thing about target shooting, whether it is archery or rifle shooting, is you don't miss the target because you missed it just when you hit it. You miss it when you fire. So you got to prepare, you got to focus, you got to concentrate, you got to take all the external and the internal elements. You got to stop breathing just before you shoot. So I think if you started wrong, you already lost it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm going to try and hold this analogy because it's important. I got a new bow last year. One of my last compound bow. I like to shoot recurve for fun, but for hunting, you got a recurve. So I got a new recurve because my last bow was stolen out of my garage by some hooligans. So I was doing a lot of shooting with my son, and he's 17, so kind of teaching him tactics, and he's big, he's strong, he's got all the components there. But with archery in particular, there's something else, like you're saying, there's all these environmental things. There's focus, there's the body position, there's the draw from your back, there's all these things that go into it. But then there's also a feel that I really like about archery shooting as opposed to like rifles. Rifle shooting 100, 200 yards, 30-06, pretty easy, honestly. It's like I don't practice that much because I'm never taking longer than a 100-yard shot. But with archery, boy, you really got to practice a lot, and it's not just about putting the pin on the target. There is like a feel to it, which I think also translates to anything we're pursuing, particularly in business or helping customers or whatever it is. It's like you have a target, but like within like all of the mechanics that go into it, there's a gut feeling that comes in too.
Absolutely. I think I think any kind of sport, right? Not just archery. I mean, there's a lot of believing in yourself, letting go at the right moment, staying focused, eliminating all the noise around you. I think there's so much more to it. And then, you got to feel not just the environment and the elements around you, but you also then have to feel the, what you're aiming towards, right? It sort of becomes one. It's like it's when you're building your budget and you're planning your numbers for next year, or you're putting your business plan, right? I mean, there's elements in all of it, but then you also got to focus, and you got to feel the whole thing. You got to place some bets. You got to try and read some tea leaves, right? I mean, the wind is blowing east to west, but it could change direction just when you're about to let go. So how do you plan all those things in? I mean, so yeah, it's been fun. I think it's been a great learning as well.
Yeah, and it's important, I think, to like really kind of meditate on some of these attributes of what we do, why we do it, what is it? Because your company, you have an agentic automation platform. You're building agents. I'm building agents. It's trying to figure out like what are the attributes that are going to lead to success when you're basically birthing these characters and giving them identities, which is a really exciting time because I don't know really if it's ever been done before like this, So let's kind of use this as a bridge to talk about kind of specifically what you guys are doing over there at Evolute. Quick side note for founders who are using AI to write content. You've probably noticed this. It's incredibly fast, but it doesn't really drive meaningful traffic. And honestly, that's because most AI-generated content is just average. There's no real insight, no depth, no structure, missing things like internal linking, and Google's getting very good at filtering that out. So instead of trying to just prompt better, I actually came across something interesting called Nina. It's a system that combines human strategy and review with AI writing to create high-quality, SEO-optimized blog content that's actually designed to rank and keep ranking. What I like about it is that it's done for me. Their team handles the topic strategy and the content review and data markups for Google and turns blog posts into actual long-term traffic assets. So if you're a founder thinking seriously about organic growth, this is one of those things worth paying attention to. You can check it out at trynina.co. That's TRYNINA.co, trynina.co. Every week I sit down and ask myself one question. What do founders actually need to know about AI right now? Not the think pieces or the stuff that sounds impressive, the real useful put it to work today stuff. Then I write it up, send it to you in your inbox free. That newsletter is called AI for Founders, and I built it because I was tired of wading through hit pieces and people that are afraid of the future. Each issue, I break down the tools worth your time, the strategies that are working, and the ways you can use AI to grow your company without burning out or getting left behind. Thousands of founders read it every week, and I'd love for you to be one of them. Subscribe for free at aiforfounders.co. 3 seconds to sign up, and I promise it's worth it.
So Ryan, EvoluteIQ is like life's work for me and my founding partners. I mean, all of us have been, sort of involved in technology for a very, very long time. But, we have been conceptualizing this for pretty much most of our adult life and almost all of our professional life. And the way we thought about EvoluteIQ was, we wanted to do something which would solve the problem rather than parts of the problem. What I mean by that is, when we conceptualized EvoluteIQ, our thinking was, hey, you have all these great organizations in different industries, and they consistently produce outputs, right? And there is something between an input and an output, and that is the people in these organizations, the culture, and then there is the process, right? And essentially for people to consistently deliver outcomes, and we just spoke about archery and shooting. I mean, it's a process, right? You do things in a continuous way, you do it better, you do it efficiently, and then you get a desired outcome. In any good organization, that's what you follow. You focus, you define an outcome, and then you have these processes which deliver the outcomes. And we wanted to sort of build a technology that would underpin these processes, right? Which is, a technology that could think for itself, build things by itself, solve the problem, and sort of do whatever is needed from the input to the output and eliminate the human intervention and sort of do all the execution that is needed to deliver that outcome. And that's sort of how EvoluteIQ was born, right? The whole idea was, hey, we want to solve the full problem rather than parts of the problem. We want to automate the entire process rather than parts of the process. So, building agents, creating engines was just a natural outcome of sort of addressing this. And mind you, we started building this many years ago, and we conceptualized this many, many years ago. So it is not about, just the concept and building agentic automation platform. It is about solving that problem, and understanding what we need to do it.
Yeah. That's great. I would love to just hear how it feels for you. You've been doing automations and, machine learning and basically, what they started really using AI as a catch-all for a lot of these things that folks been doing maybe 10, 15 years. But boy, in the last 6 months, it's really turned a corner, right?
Yeah, I think it's woke to say, hey, I have an AI firm, right? I think everybody wants to say that. I think I have a friend who runs a corner shop who believes that he has AI, stacking all the shelves and everything. So what I mean by that is, we have been at this for a very, very long time, and I just want to pay tribute to my partners and my founding team, Deepak, Sanjay, Naveen, and Arun. All of us, we conceptualized this way back in 2004. We put pen to paper in 2007. And we have been at it, in stealth building from 2009 to 19. And then we incorporated the company. And so if you look at it, everybody talks about AI in the last 6 months and how the market has changed. And oh my God, all these things are happening. But for us, we have been thinking of, end-to-end automation for a fairly long time. And even before there were LLMs or whatever, our thought was, hey, can this piece of technology think for itself? Can it self-heal? Can it self-learn? Can it do all of this, right? So I think coming back to what I said earlier, the obsession was, let's solve a problem, but then keep solving the same problem over and over again for the rest of our lives, right? And I'll tell you what I mean by that. It sounds funny, but it's very weird to say that I'm building a tech AI organization that is going to keep pivoting. What I mean is, if you look at, human life 400 years ago, health and wellness was a problem. People would fall ill or they would die, or they would fall ill and people would treat them. But it was, hey, you fell ill and so you're getting treated, and people would give them medicine or fruits or whatever that they did 500 years ago. If you look at it so very, very reactive measure to what happened to an individual's health. If you look at it 30, 40 years ago, or maybe 50 years ago, we could run tests on a pregnant mother to know if the child would have Down syndrome or any other issues that were there, right? And we could proactively address those. So, from reacting, we went to something which was a little bit proactive. If you look at us today, some of us wear things on our wrist. We have these smart watches and devices which tell us what our heart rate is, what our blood pressure is, how many steps, how many calories, all of that. So we know exactly near real time how our health and wellness is looking. So from being reactive to proactive to near real time, we are solving the same problem over 500 years, but the technology and the way we solve it and what we do with it is completely changed. And if you talk to some of the leading life sciences companies and some of the other companies that are out there, we take all this data now and we process it, and we can say, hey, Ryan, Sameet, your eating habits or your walking habits, based on this data, you guys are pre-diabetic or whatever. But if you address these 4 or 5 things, your future generations or whatever, the chances of them inheriting this is much lower, or, whatever. And so if you look at it, I've gone 500 years to what it could be in the future. I'm solving the same problem, but I'm using technology to do it very, very differently. And that's how we conceptualize, or that's how we view EvoluteIQ and the technology, that we want to solve the same problem, which is the process, but we've moved from, hyper automation to intelligent automation or cognitive stuff to, the deterministic agentic automation today, and then the future of singularity or AI, wherever we go from here. So that's how I look at it.
Love it. And so let's talk about that next step, which is then kind of like the prescriptive, taking everything you've got now and recognizing a pattern for pathology potentially in the future, and then creating the proper prescriptions now. So that might be kind of the next step of where, AI agents and automation is going now, over the next 12, 24 months is what indicators do you have within your systems and processes now that can inform better decisions today? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, we do have a few life sciences customers and, healthcare customers who are looking at those models and who are looking at those things. There's so much of data available. There's so much of, relatability or pattern that is available. And you got all these technology models that are there today where you can analyze this data, you can have predictive analytics, you can run different models, and then you can come back and, you can make recommendations, right? So we do have a few projects in flight. A few of them are beyond the proof of concept or proof of value and more into the execution. And, it's very exciting to see that based on data, you can address certain things that could happen a generation later, or at least avoid it, or look out for it as you sort of look into the future. I think the best part about AI is it's not just about reading tea leaves, it's sort of looking into this very well and looking into the crystal glass.
Yeah, totally. It's interesting because I talk to a lot of founders. I'm picking everyone's brain, and I have a couple of motivations. One of them is my daughter is in college right now, and she's trying to figure out what she wants to do for a career, and obviously it's just not that clear. So I talk to founders, CEOs, hey, what are you hiring? Who are you looking to hire? They're like, AI native. We need AI native people in this organization. So I say, what's AI native? They're like, I do not know. I'm like, okay. Or people are like, they're scrambling. They're like, we need an AI transformation. We need to be AI native in our company. It's like, what is that? Well, we don't know. We got ChatGPT subscriptions for everybody. Does that count? So, with your work, what's really interesting is it's consultative in a in a sense, because, step one of engaging with EIQ is to define your goals. Are you starting to see that people are kind of walking in like with their hairs on fire? They're like, we need AI stuff, and they don't really know where to pin that goal.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, the good and the bad of social media and marketing is we have created so much of information, and some of it is chaos. And you have, in the end, created, a confused buyer or a confused customer or a confused enterprise owner, right? Because there's so much of information, and then every week or every day we see new releases coming in. Different organizations announcing, a different model or a different platform release, which can do so many other things. And so what tends to happen is, there's like this buying freeze, right? I mean, people are like, should I do something or should I wait? Should I put my money on the table or should I just wait for, the next role? Maybe that's a better one than this one. And we are seeing that happen all the time. I mean, when I walk into a room, I see a lot of my customers asking so many questions. And so I think it is a great time to be, somebody who is part of an organization like EvoluteIQ, because, I believe it's the responsibility of a vendor, partner, or a technologist to educate the customer. I think this is not an opportunity to sell. This is an opportunity to educate, because if people don't understand what they're buying, you're never going to have a long-term relationship. It just becomes a transaction. And I know I'm talking at a philosophical level rather than a technology level, but the truth be told, I think a lot of people don't understand what AI truly means. They don't understand whether they need it. They don't understand. I mean, need is pretty obvious. I think everybody needs it, sorry. But I think, everybody thinks they want it. But how do you want it? What do you want it for? Are you ready for it? Is your organization ready for it? Do people really understand what you're going to do with it? So I think it's a massive opportunity. And I think any deal that we have won, I think obviously we win because, we've been in all the tier one analyst reports, and, obviously the technology is phenomenal and we get a lot of accolades. But it's also because people trust us to do the right thing. They trust us to explain to them what is happening, what it can do for them, how they can use it, what are the kind of people that will use it, what is the outcome that they can derive from it. And one thing we have done, Ryan, is we have started betting on our technology. We have started betting on ourselves. So what we say is, hey, if we don't deliver the outcome that you want, then don't pay us, right? And that's sort of making them understand. And so when you say that, both parties are now committed to define what that outcome is, right? Yeah. I mean, in a very simplistic way, let me tell you this. If you're going to buy a car from me, I'm not saying here's the car for $90,000 or $100,000 and then go fill the gas. What I'm saying is, tell me where do you want to go, right? Or rather lease the car or rent the car. I'm saying don't ask me for the price. Tell me where you want to go. You said you want to, so do you want to drive from New York to Colorado? Okay, great. That's what you will drive. That's the distance you will drive. Once you reach Colorado, you pay me for the gas and you pay me for this and you pay me for what you have experienced and where you have reached. Now, you need to define where you're going exactly. You need to tell me, hey, listen, I need to go to street number 14, house number 5, right? You need to be specific. And based on that, when you reach there, you got to pay. So see, I'm forcing you to think, forcing you to have clarity, but at the same time, I'm trying to understand, how are you going to drive? How long are you going to drive? Are you going to take breaks or whatever? That's the thing. And that is very, very important for a responsible software vendor, for an AI native platform like EvoluteIQ, and for me and my co-founding team and my colleagues at EvoluteIQ to be that transparent to the end customers and sort of help them through.
It's a great analogy, because people get lost in the technology.
Oh, yeah.
To use kind of your analogy, if they're like, hey, we want to go to Colorado, that's the outcome. We want to go to Colorado specifically. We want to go to the foothills over by where Estes is at. We want to go shoot some bows, And then you're like, okay, that's great. And they're like, yeah, so the kind of car we want is like a classic 67 Cadillac. I really want a a sunroof and I want leather interior. Like, no. Don't think about the car. Like, let's think about
Yes.
shooting these bows. Like, keep a focus on the outcome you want. And then the technology that gets there almost becomes unimportant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. See, Ryan, the biggest mistake a lot of my peers make or a lot of technology companies make is we try to sell technology to a business. I mean, your business is interviewing people and creating great, fantastic content on podcast. Does it really matter to you what kind of technology or what is the exact thing below that, right? I mean, it doesn't. Similarly, just one sec, sorry. Sorry, you'll have to cut this out. I got a call from a customer.
No problem at all.
Sorry, so let me say that. See, the biggest mistake a lot of my peers make is that, they try to sell technology and software to the buyer. It's not their business. I mean, your business is making good content on podcast. You really are not concerned whether your current screen is of a certain make or whatever. You are looking for good sound quality. You're looking to make sure that when we are talking, things don't break. Similarly, a retailer who's manufacturing, say chocolates or whatever, they want to make the best chocolates. They want to sell the most chocolates in the world, and they want to make sure they make the best margins in their industry. They are not interested that they are running the best AI model or they are running the best, workflow tool or they are doing the best analytical tool. No, they are interested in growing their business. They're interested in delivering value to their shareholders. They're interested in ensuring that their customers are consistently happy. And I think if you understand that, you got to work with them to deliver that rather than here is my technology and this is what it can do for you.
Let's do this. For folks that are maybe a little bit in the weeds, maybe they're just like thinking about the technology, not the outcomes. Maybe we can list some common outcomes that like almost every company could benefit from automation or AI tools. The one that comes to mind for me is I like to have an end of the day report from absolutely everything that's happening in my organizations. And when I've tried to be a stickler about this, it feels punitive. Like humans don't like you looking over their shoulder and, sniffing their hair and seeing what they're up to every day. It feels like they're on a pip. So, it kind of wanes, and instead it becomes kind of a weekly recap or maybe a bi-weekly report. And then I'm not getting what I want, but I have to sacrifice that because I want the team to have what they want. But now you can kind of get a really good snapshot of, with the agents that are kind of crawling all over your organization. At the end of the day, they can show the output very simply automated where I can be like, that makes me feel great. So that's an example of one. What are maybe some other automation and AI examples?
Yeah, I think a lot of us, I'm a stickler for scorecards and KPIs, right? I think I like to keep score. And that's the most objective way of knowing whether, an individual or a group of people or a team has delivered to what we want them to do. And I think probably that's why I like my customers to measure me on outcomes because I want to deliver for them. I think a lot of organizations create these scorecards and then, there's a lot of data that needs to get pulled from different systems or different people or different departments to say if, John Smith or Jane Doe or whoever it is has delivered to what they promised to or whatever. I think in the current scenario with different agents, being there, all this data can get consolidated on a daily basis or, whatever the time frame that you want these agents to do that. And you can literally in real time know, hey, you know what, my Minnesota department is really doing well on sales or my factory manufacturing unit in Philippines is behind or in China is behind that, or they need certain inventory and things like that, right? So you can in absolute real time know what's going on rather than and evaluate people against it, right? I mean, if there's an inventory manager whose only job is to make sure all your manufacturing units globally never go below, 70% or 40% inventory, you would know if something was happening. You would know it real time. You will have access to that, and you can then say, "Hey, listen," because otherwise this kind of data gets missed. You do it once a month. People can, they can massage the data and things like that. So
scorecards, getting real-time data towards the scorecards, measuring it, that is one. Tracking your inventory, that could be another. There are so many other things, specifically in the healthcare space, in the insurance space, tracking your bills, tracking your insurance claims on a daily basis. There's so much going on between the providers and, the payers. Then there's the customers, or rather the patients, who have put in their claims. Tracking that on a daily basis. All those things, agentic AI can make it very simple. You can have all these different agents. And my personal favorite is one of our customers for whom, we run the whole warranty management. This is a medical device manufacturer. And, the entire warranty management for their pacemakers is now run on EvoluteIQ, right? So at any point in time, their organization knows how many pacemakers are out there, what kind of, replacement parts do they need, and they get that on a near real-time basis. So that, because in this case, if something goes wrong and the parts are not available, you're looking at a life loss rather than just a financial loss, right? So I think, some of the other ones, I mean, if you want to have some fun with it, I have some agents running and crawling on my personal computer, and they take care of my nutrition. They give me recommendations in terms of what tasks that I need to do before I do so. I mean, it's how much of your personal life you're opening up and letting, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty exciting. It's also a toy. I mean, I feel like I have my own personal Jeeves at times. Who's there? My own man Friday. I can have conversations and know stuff. It's fairly exciting what this can do for you.
It is fun. The toy aspect is something I kind of miss. Early on, that's all I was doing was just playing around with it, which is really fun. Now it seems like it's implementing all these systems and operations. I got to get back to that. Speaking of KPIs, I want to go through some of yours because you've had an extraordinary run in 7 years. You guys are very, very successful. It looks like you've raised about 70 million across a few rounds, led by Baird Capital. 85% of your customers are Fortune 500 enterprises. It looks like you're almost doubling ARR every single year. Extraordinary. I'd love to go back to the beginning. Enterprise customers are notoriously difficult to get. When you were thinking go to market in the beginning, how did you kind of capitalize? Did you use design partners? How did you kind of find your first few customers?
So, when we started Ryan, we decided we will only sell to Fortune 500 customers. And the reason was, we said, listen, a Fortune 500 customer has all the possible reasons why they don't want to buy from you, right? They already have so many technologies and, so much of legacy systems. They can pick up the phone and call whoever they want to call, and those guys will be there and cut deals with them. They pretty much have bought every single software or technology that is out there on, multiple year contracts and all of that. There is definitely, behavior, culture, territorial stuff. Name the issue. And then above all, when you're a startup, nobody wants to bet on you when you have zero revenue or, 100K of revenue, because the question then becomes, hey, are you going to be around if I bet this? So we said, hey, you know what? We believe, we have the conviction that we have built an awesome technology. We have been at it for a very long time. We were the first guys out of the door back in 2019 that said that, you need to address the process. It needs to be end to end. You need to have a full stack. Everybody else was talking about, RPA and bots and workflow and ITSM and all of that. We were the only guys, even from day one, we were saying end-to-end process, end-to-end stack, right? But we said we will go with that to the Fortune 500 customers, and we will convince them that is right. And it was not an easy task. So the way we did it is, we are a very partner-centric organization. So we generate a lot of our business through our partners. And even if we go direct, we bring in our partners, tier one partners like HCL Tech or, PwC, or, we have a lot of those guys on on our partnership. Very, very few of them. When I say a lot, I don't mean hundreds, but we have about 15 key partners that we work with. But these are guys who have been in with the end customer, with the Fortune 500 customers for many, many years, right? One of our partners is, WNS, Capgemini. They've been with us since the very beginning, and they've been around for a very long time. They have depth of experience with, the insurance industry or the healthcare industry. And the thing was, what is important to us was the customer needs to believe in whoever is bringing the solution. And there's nobody better than a partner who has been with them for, 20 years, 10 years, has a phenomenal track record. Because then it only becomes about, is the technology good enough? And I think we were very, very confident from day one that we have it. And, my thing has always been, hey, here is my technology. Here it is out of the box. Open it, see it, touch it, feel it. What we are saying about the technology is what you get. It is not a figment of our imagination. It is not going to be the next, it's not a PowerPoint deck, and it's not going to be something which is coming in the next release. If I'm telling you it is here, then you can use it, you can touch and feel it. That's one of the reasons why we spent 10 years building the platform before we even incorporated the company. We kept getting feedback from prospects and friends and partners, but that was the conviction. So yeah, we went with partners who had credibility with the Fortune 500, and that is a big plus because we were unknowns, but we were at it. And then, the thing is, once you get in the door and you genuinely deliver and you consistently deliver, then it's just a matter of, people knowing and scaling and believing in you. And, as one of the features is, we have 120% customer, NRR, right, which we have and I think that is a bigger metric than doubling my ARR, because the fact that my existing customers continue to grow with me and they do that is much more satisfying than anything else.
It's an amazing model. What's kind of sticks out is you had a lot of faith in yourself. I mean, you built for 10 years without any customers.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I said, right? So it is life's work for the 4 or 5 of us. And that's why I said, I feel privileged to be the only guy talking. I wish I could get my band here and all of us could talk together. But, it's not just the 5 of us who thought about it, but it's also the 120, 130 people who believed in us. See, one thing I'll tell you about founders and co-founders, right? You believe in yourself, so you take a bet. But I give a lot of credit to employee number 1 to employee number 50, or even employee 100, because they are betting on your dream and they are betting on you. They believe you will make it, right? And I think so I feel extremely privileged to sit here and talk on behalf of all these 100, 120 people that we have in the team who believed in this and who made this happen. So it's been a fun ride so far.
I love it. And that's a very clever backdoor into massive enterprises and smart. So the partnerships you made it sounds like they were kind of design partners. So these are vendors that are already serving these Fortune 500 companies, and you're having conversations with them for 10 years. Like, hey, what are you seeing? Where's the gap in the market? Here's what we're working on. What do you think? Till you get it to a place where they're like, hey, we need this now. And so they're basically backdooring you into their customers, saying like, look, Sameet is able to do this full process end to end. We're still a great component of it right here, but you need to see Sameet's scope and what they can do with Evolute. And then so, and then, yeah, like you said, 120% NRR, which is unbelievable, especially for tech or SaaS platforms, where churn is like just it's the C word, that you don't even want to discuss. I used to ask people about churn, and then it got so uncomfortable, I just stopped talking about it because it's brutal.
Yeah, but I think, Nancy, our focus has been one customer at a time, right? We are in no hurry to conquer the world, because what we believe in is we have a good tech, we have a good bunch of customers. We want to keep working. I mean, we have not. If you ask me, we did a very bad job of marketing in the past. We never went around thumping our chest saying, listen, we are so awesome. Instead of that, I think every time we made some money, We made sure we invested it in doing something for our end customers, building something with them. And the only ask we had from the customers was, hey, if you really think we added value and we did something nice, just, tell somebody else about it, or, give us a reference, rather than me going out and, sponsoring stuff or attending events and telling the world how great I am. I think that's what we focused on. And I think it's paid off, because I have had a few customers who have, in the last 7-8 years, changed a few organizations, and they brought us in every time they went. And I don't think I can have a better, marketing engine than my customers.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. We're at the time in the podcast where we're going to enter the quantum round. Are you ready?
Okay. What is that? That sounds interesting.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out, but I was like, we could do the lightning round, but it doesn't seem like 2026. We got to go to the quantum round. You see what we're doing?
There you go. I thought you read my my product roadmap, because I was like, man, that was so stealth.
Nice. Do you have some quantum action going on? What's going on? Wow.
Ryan, if I tell you, then I need to hire you, man.
Thought you were going to say you'd have to kill me. So I like hiring is much better. I'll take a job in the inside track.
Yeah. I thought of saying completing it the way it's naturally said, but then I stayed away from it, considering you're a hunter. I said, you might as well be better.
That's right. I'm dangerous, but very slow. I'm very slow.
There you go.
Okay. You're in London right now.
Yes.
Why are you not in the States?
Very, very interesting question. Now, I'm wondering whether should I tell the truth or should I answer? No. The truth is my wife prefers to be in London. She likes it here. So that's
Nice.
one way of putting it. No, the truth is, actually running global organizations, I feel London is a good midpoint. The reason being, I think, so I do keep a house in the Valley. So, we do, Bay Area, I do frequent it. We got an office there as well. But I think when you're running global organization, when your customers are global, I think it is important to also be closer to the customers and closer to the teams. And London sort of allows you to do that, working out of multiple time zones. Also, from a travel perspective, I mean, New York is just a few hours away. The continental Europe is an hour. Asia is just a few hours away. So it's not a burden in terms of travel. And in my role and my job, most of the times I'm on the road anyway. So I guess I come to London to do my laundry, but the rest of the time I'm pretty much on the road in front of customers. So
It's cool. All the folks I talk to from London are trying to get out of there. They just talk about it like it's some depressing place. What is it that your wife really enjoys about London?
I think it's the weather. I don't think she likes the hot weather in California.
Yeah. Well, and the Bay is kind of cool. I mean, if that's too hot for her, don't go to Arizona.
No, I think
Amazing.
Yeah, I think it's the weather. My only thing to her was, I wish you had told me this before marriage. We could have looked at it differently. Because I
It
gave
sounds
up.
like you don't like London.
Because I gave up sunny California for London. Yeah, I mean, it took some time. I mean, you don't give up California for London, but it grows on you, I guess. I mean, work-wise, it makes it easy.
Cool. I love it. You talked a little bit about some of the stuff you're doing, personal optimizations, maybe some fitness trackers and stuff. What are some other kind of fun tools and toys and experiments you're running with AI right now?
On a personal level, I'm trying to understand, how AI can help my, day trading. I love to do some of that on my E-Trade account. And so there's a few experiments I'm trying to run. I mean, obviously, giving access to your bank accounts is not something I would recommend to anybody or the smartest thing to do, but it's a very personal thing, right? I want to understand if the agent that I've built understands my personality of how I like to trade and how I like to do things. And, is it intuitive for the agent to understand my appetite for risk based on certain parameters and things? Because, I have a higher appetite when it comes to a certain industry. I am skeptical about a certain industry. There are times in certain geopolitical news for which I react in a particular way. And I have seen the agent sort of mimic it at times. It's not there yet, but it's just it's a fun experiment, because I would love to have, a mini me sort of doing that, because if somebody, they really pick it up, they do it in my personality, man, I could be making money and working, right?
Love it. Do you have a separate bank account for that agent yet?
Yeah. That's why I said,
Yeah.
It's not exposed, but yes, I do. I mean, I started with dummy data, and then I started, doing it with small amounts. I mean, I've gotten comfortable up to a certain amount, but I think it's a long way to go.
Give me some of the attributes that you're training this agent for, of what would be a successful trade, or what you're looking for a successful investment, and maybe red flags that you're training the agent to make sure they avoid.
Actually, Ryan, as I said, right, I'm trying to get this agent to behave or understand my personality, my appetite for risk, my reaction to certain geopolitical news, or my reaction to certain technology launches or whatever. Because if I look at myself, I read a few things every day, and then based on that, I will say, okay, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. This is not what I'm going to do. And this is what I like to do. And if I look at it over a period of time, there's a clear pattern, right? I read Reuters, I would look at Bloomberg, I will look at what, some of these tech giants are doing, some of the celebrity personalities that are there in tech, what they talk, what are the certain geopolitical stuff that I see, what I like, what I don't like. And then I react accordingly, right? I will dump some stocks based on certain things. I will buy something, or I'll double down on something. So I'm getting that agent to sort of shadow and track these things, put all this data, which I've done, and sort of put it there and create. I mean, it created a fantastic spreadsheet and a fantastic chart, and sort of flagged the things. And it tells you something about your personality, right? I thought I was a very aggressive, cool dude. And I'm an aggressive, cool dude in a particularly safe environment kind of a thing. And I've started seeing that. Whereas, because when certain geopolitical news come, I see that I calm down. And that's something I didn't know about myself, but the data and the pattern. And now the agent has started mimicking that, not to the absolute extreme, but sort of doing that. And that's the cool part of it, right? I mean, it's, as I said, I mean, if I can make a mini me and just have it installed on the other machine while I'm working, I don't have to keep, tracking the ticker all the time.
Incredible. I love it. I want access to that spreadsheet. I need help.
Do you have
My investing instincts are terrible.
Yes, but it is you. But this is about I wanted to invest like me, right? I'm not expecting them.
So do I.
Yeah.
I want to invest like you too. Give me the spreadsheet.
That way. Okay. Off the record, I'm happy to share it. Because
I will train my investment agent, and then I will have your agent to give tutelage to my agent so we can learn better.
Sure. Now you're talking like my elder daughter, but sure.
Amazing. Incredible success over the last 7 years, but I'm sure those first 10 years of building in the dark without customers were harrowing. What were some of the ways that you and your team kind of kept each other going, kept each other inspired, kept each other like pushing through for those 10 years?
So Ryan, I think a lot of that credit goes to, Sanjay and the 2025 odd people, along with Naveen, who sort of doubled down and focused on the technology and believed in, we will continue to build it. I think it's very difficult, to swim in an ocean when there's nothing on the sea. You don't know whether you're going to reach the shore. And so it was all about, the vision and the technology build, believing that, this is where we want to go. But the most important thing I'll tell you that works for us, right? I think we have been very lucky, and we have been very good at sort of reading the tea leaves, both in terms of what we built as technology, but also what we created as a distribution channel and the business model. I think both have worked for us. And it was so to answer your question, it was about swimming in the dark, believing in each other, sort of knowing that, just going all in. I mean, it was not a measured, this, and I'm answering on behalf of all of us, right? It's not just me, as I said. So this answer is actually, again, a tribute to the rest of the team, which is not on the call, but that's how we did it.
Yeah. It's also a testament, there's a lot of like talk and dreaming about the one person unicorn, like that can happen. Because, when you have a solid team, you can go so much further. It's like if you go alone, you go faster, but if you go together, you go further, and I think people need to be reminded of that when they're like, I need one person and 17,000 agents and I can conquer the world. It's like, man, sometimes, especially in the beginning, you need somebody patting you on the back when you're crying in your beer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I tell this to all my acquaintances, friends, anybody who wants to do a startup, right? I said, don't do it alone. I mean, it's really, it takes a lot out of you. And it's, a lot of people have this misconception of, I've saved money for 2 years or I've saved money for 3 years. I have this great idea and I'll make it happen. And I'm like, it's not about the money. It's not about your savings. Great that you can take that chance. But that's just the financial aspect. I think conviction and passion, and especially conviction and passion when things are not going your way, you do need people around you who have the same belief and the same vision and the same purpose, who are going to rally around you and going to be there. Because, if I sit here and I tell you that, listen, I've never had a dark day or I never, that's all bullshit. The truth be told, whenever you start something on your own, and I had the benefit of having a good bunch of people around me. So we could talk, we could share. And even then there were days like, and this is one of my favorite anecdotes, right? We had just started EvoluteIQ and Naveen and myself, we went to this large telecom provider who was a prospect, and we went and we pitched EvoluteIQ and we said, we're going to change the world and end-to-end automation and all of that. And this gigantic, large Fortune 100 enterprise looked at us, heard us for about 2 hours and said, that's what we think we will get to in 2030. And this was in 2019. And very politely showed us out of the door. And both of us went to a pub at, 2:30 in the afternoon on a Tuesday and sat there and said, why the hell are we doing that? Why did we give up some good jobs to do this, right? And that's the truth of it. But then, by the end of the fourth pint, I think, we both were like absolutely sure that, we're going to go back and we're going to convince and do all this. And, a year and a half later, the same customer started doing something like 2.5 million sterling worth of licenses with us. So there are bad moments. Never do it alone. But in my personal opinion, anybody who decides to do something on their own and starts, I think is a winner, because it takes a lot more than finance. The last mile, the actual thing is courage. Jumping off the cliff, irrespective of having the parachute, that jump, when you actually do it, I think you're a winner anyways. So it doesn't really matter what the outcome is. In my books, you're an absolute winner.
Beautiful. I love it. The last step is just the courage to keep it going. Yeah. Amazing. Kind of wrapping up here. This has been so much fun, Sameet. I really appreciate it. Are there any business ideas? This audience loves business ideas that you think could do really well right now, but you just don't have the time or you're not the person to do it.
That's very interesting, Ryan. I think anything that we can build in technology, but which is outcome driven. And I know I'm making a very, very big generic statement, but if there is any task that we all are doing, if we can commit to outcomes, as I said, right, if in very simple terms, if you could build a curriculum, but you only charge for the education if there is a successful graduation of an individual, I think that's a great, using AI, right? Teaching the course, getting the individual to go through the course and qualifying and getting an outcome. I would say something like that would be a brilliant idea. I think at this point in time, anything that you can commit to an outcome and you can use, the AI to do that, I would say is a brilliant idea. I'm sorry, I'm not being specific because there are a couple of patents I have in the mix. So I don't want to I don't want to give that away, but
keep those in the back pocket.
Yeah, but hey, even the small thing that I said, right, the trading agent and things like that. If you can create one for nutrition for yourself, or just anything about a daily task where you can again commit to outcomes, I think would be a great business idea at this point.
Incredible. Sameet, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I want to encourage everybody to go check out EvoluteIQ.com to see the fruits of this incredible company. It's been awesome. Couple of shout outs. Sarabi, shout out to you. Shout out to Snuggly Ruby in Connecticut. Sameet, where is the best place for people to connect with you online?
It's my email, sameet@evoluteiq.com. I'm also on LinkedIn. Happy to answer any questions or get connected.
Fantastic. And we'll put all the show notes in wherever you're listening to this. It should be down there. You can connect with Sameet and check out EvoluteIQ. Thank you so much, Sameet. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Ryan. Really appreciate it.
What if you had a partnership manager working for your podcast full time, reaching out to brands, securing deals, handling all the back and forth while you just focused on making great content? That's Casey. Casey is the AI partnership agent from Howdy who actually goes out and gets your sponsors. Casey reaches out to brands on your behalf, works the conversation, and lands the partnership. You make the show, Casey makes the money. And look, Casey doesn't sleep, she doesn't lose track of follow-ups, and she never gets discouraged by a non-reply. Casey's out there right now working for podcasters who figured this out before you did. The only question is whether your show has a Casey yet. So go meet Casey at gethowdy.com. That's GETHOWDI.com. Takes a couple of minutes to get started, and Casey gets to work immediately. That's gethowdy.com. Here's what separates the founders who become icons from the ones who stay invisible: a weekly newsletter. Not because it's trendy, because Inbox is where business actually gets done. It's where investors read your thinking before they take the call, where future hires decide they want to work for you, where customers remember why they chose you. Your social posts disappear in a couple hours. Your newsletter compounds for years. Inbox Alchemy builds your entire founder newsletter operation from scratch. The writing, the design, the beautiful branded website, and a growth engine that takes you from 0 to 25,000 subscribers in your first 6 months. They manage everything, so your personal brand is working for you around the clock, building reputation, deepening relationships, and driving real pipeline, all while you run your company. The founders building email audiences right now are playing a game the algorithm can never touch. That's inboxalchemy.co, and go build yours. In 3 years, AI fluency will be a baseline expectation for every college grad, not a differentiator, it'll be a requirement. The students getting ahead are the ones building that skill right now, in high school and college, before it becomes table stakes. AInativestudent.com is the program doing that. Weekly one-on-one coaching, live cohort sessions, on-demand courses, and the fastest growing AI chat for students, all tailored to your student's specific career path. Pre-med, they learn how AI is transforming diagnostics. Pre-law, they learn legal AI tools. Business, they learn to think like an AI power operator. One flat membership, less than a private tutor, cancel anytime, and if you're a founder listening to the show, you already know the cost of falling behind. Don't let your kid pay that price. Go to AInativestudent.com, apply in a couple minutes, and get your student into the cohort that changes their trajectory. AInativestudent.com, and send them to the chat. It's totally free.